You are listening to the Hodges Huddle, where we discuss all things in the wide world of sports. Here is your KLSU sports team.
Welcome into the Hodges Huddle. I'm your host, Michael Poggi, alongside my wonderful coworkers, as always, William Gilreath, Jayden Smith. Y'all, we got a big one today. Randall and Wilson on the switcher, Alex Sheasley doing his thing, production, helping everything get set up. So, man, we got another one. We got the 5th podcast of the semester. Should be a good one. We've been rolling, cooking with gas is what I like to say. So, how we doing on this fine little Monday evening, man? It's homecoming week.
It's homecoming. You can see a little bit of that fall weather now.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you want to stay in and watch Halloween movies all day.
Hey, and that's what you did this morning.
I watched one. I didn't watch.
What'd you watch?
Too many. Halloween 2.
Was it good?
It's pretty good. I've seen it like a million times, but yeah, man, I'm feeling pretty good. It's homecoming week. I can't wait for this Saturday. Not even for the game, just for homecoming.
Man.
I feel great.
How about you, Big Cat?
I'm feeling good. Homecoming week. Got a couple exams this week, so not looking forward to that. But looking forward to the game on Saturday. I will say that much.
Yeah, we
got some much needed rest from.
Yeah, bye week was nice for all of us. Bye week was nice for us. Hopefully, bye week was nice for Garrett Nussmeier. Hopefully, the bye week was good for everyone around. But
hopefully.
Well, at the end of the day, it is Victory Monday for the first time all year. It's Victory Monday for these Saints fans that we got sitting at this table. As the Saints have finally won their first game of the season. And then we are going to talk about that as well as number 11 LSU taking on South Carolina this weekend. So yesterday, the New Orleans Saints beat the New York Giants 26-14 in the Dome as the Saints now move to 1-4 on the year. Kellen Moore gets his first win. Spencer Rattler gets his first win as a starting quarterback in the league. So lots of firsts for this 25-26 Saints football team. So big key to this game yesterday, turning the ball, forcing 5 turnovers.
Yeah.
That was huge. As well as, finally finding that electric deep ball to Rashid Shaheed for 82 yards or 87 yards. 87 yards. Finally getting that. We haven't seen that all year. So, we'll start with the offense. What were your thoughts on Spencer Rattler yesterday? Because, in my opinion, he looked phenomenal. And, it was good to see, especially from what we've seen so far in his career.
I'm happy for him. It's starting 0-8, 0-9, whatever it was.
0-10.
0-10. I lost count. It's hard, especially when, you got a lot of people who don't necessarily believe you're good enough to be a starter in the NFL. And I think this season that, he hasn't been the biggest issue on the Saints team. I think he's been just fine enough. I thought yesterday he really looked good. 21 for 31, 225 yards, the touchdown. I mean, just all in all, an impressive performance and one that was good enough to win you the game, and that's really all that matters.
Right.
You want to win on Sunday. He finally got that, so happy for him. Think it's very well deserved, and I hope it's the first of
many.
Some more this season.
Yeah, you can't even say many. You just can't say
just some.
Just let's do it again.
Hey, you never know, man. We're gonna talk about that in a sec.
Yeah, but first off, I'm definitely happy for Spencer Rattler because after the Saints lost last week, that's when I saw the graphic pop up that he was like 0-10 as a starter. And I just happened to go to the comment section, and I saw somebody was like, I don't remember exactly what they said, but it was something along the lines of like, but he's like looked pretty good or pretty decent in those losses, though he's 0-10. And somebody replied like, man, you're 0-10. There's no way you look good. Like, you can't look good if you're 0-10. So I'm glad he's able to, I guess, somewhat put that to bed, like, because it's not that simple, man. Like you said, Spencer Rattler has not been the problem for this Saints team. He has, in fact, probably been the one bright spot. Like, I didn't expect him to look this good. I didn't expect him to take care of the ball the way that he has. And I think if he continues to play like this, the Saints can win more games like this against teams like the Giants who are, turnover prone and things like that. But, yeah, you just try to build on it from here. Hopefully with that deep ball connection to Rashid Shaheed, you get Olave going, build some continuity within that offense, and see how many more wins you can pick up.
Look, man, I'm with you. He looked sharp. And there were just, there were some that throw to Rashid Shaheed, it
was right in the stride.
It was a great throw. It wasn't like that was an easy throw to make. He had to get that ball over there. Obviously, Shaheed is fast as lightning, but it is just one of them things where it's he's finally getting that groove, getting that deep ball. He made a lot of sharp throws, made a lot of good decisions, check downs here and there, and I think that's credit to him. I think that's credit to Kellen Moore, the way they ran the offense. I think there's a lot of bright spots in this Saints offense, especially just with what they have, with what pieces they have with them, what pieces they have on their roster. It's kind of impressive to see what they're able to do. Yes, they're 1-4. Yes, that's the first time that they've actually looked decent, and they started out looking not decent at all, down 14-3.
Yeah.
And then obviously we'll get to that, but scoring 23 straight. So what, and then that'll move me to my next. What's next, man? Because it's rumored that there's going to be some moves soon. Lots of moves soon it was rumored, I want to say last week before the Sunday, that there was going to be trades coming out of New Orleans at some point. They're looking to push and get some guys. So, and that kind of made me think Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara's era in New Orleans might be over. He hasn't really looked that sharp. Has struggled to kind of get him that, that receiving back type of style back that he used to, really just kill the league with.
Yeah.
So, do you think that we're nearing the end of Alvin Kamara's era in New Orleans, and anybody else that you think might be gone in the next few weeks?
I hope not, because he's been here from day one. He's a guy that when I think of my memories and experiences watching this team as a kid, he's one of the first players that comes to mind. So, obviously, that fan aspect of it, you hope it's not. But at the end of the day, this is a business before anything else. And if they can ship you off somewhere else to get something better in return, they're going to do just that. Even though he has made it abundantly clear he wants to retire as a New Orleans Saint, it just doesn't always work like that. It's not always that simple. He hasn't exactly been very productive. I look at the way he runs the ball, and when I look at the way Kendre Miller runs the ball, it looks like that point in the older back's career where you can tell the younger back is getting ready to be the guy. Alvin Kamara, he really struggles getting to that second point of contact. There are a lot of runs where he's going down on the first point of contact.
Right.
You don't really see him breaking free the way he used to. He's not as crucial and as deadly in the passing game as we've known him to be his entire career. I think for that reason you can maybe expect to see him move somewhere else. I'm not sure, where that would be or what they would get in return for that. But it's all part of the game, man. That's the part that you hate to see as a fan. You hate to see your heroes, get old, man.
What? Yeah.
And I mean, he's kind of at that age. He's 30 years old now, and running backs in the NFL, it's a position where once you get to a certain age or a certain point in your career, you're just going to regress.
Yeah.
And you hate to see it because I think he's loved by the entire fan base, and deservedly so. I mean,
shouldn't think it. You should know that,
yeah,
because everybody loves AK-41.
Yeah. He is just probably one of the lone bright. Well, he is a lone bright spot of the past couple of years since that post Drew Brees era, and he loves New Orleans and he loves the Saints and all that stuff. But I feel like if they can get, I don't know what they'd be able to get for him because he is 30, but if they could just, I really don't want to see it happen, but I think they'll look into it, and if they could get a fourth or a fifth for him, that's something they might pull the trigger on.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard to talk about. It's hard to really even just think about.
Yeah.
Just because you think back to Boom and Zoom, man. You think back to just
I can't tell you the last time I saw him with a pack of airheads on the sideline. Like it's been that long,
Dude,
man.
with the airheads, with the chopper style,
Yeah.
like just doing, just having fun in the city that, loves him so much. It hurts to not really see that as much. It hurts that the fact that, the end of his career, he's kind of, maybe it's not the end of his career, but nearing the end of his career, nearing the end of, what we've seen so far, just like, it also kind of just feels like we're wasting away whatever he has left.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't. I don't want to see that for him. In my opinion, he has the talent and caliber to be a Hall of Fame running back, and he just hasn't really been able to do much with the spot that he's in these last 3 or 4 years. And so I just think at some point they're going to have to move on. But if you're able to work some stuff out, if you're able to, see him working better in that receiving yards, I'm pretty sure he's one catch away from top 5 all time in receptions by a running back. Mm-hmm. So that's so impressive. Like he's 30 years old.
Yeah.
So I just think I don't know. I think it's going to come down to these next 2 weeks, next 2 to 3 weeks, what they're going to do. We'll see how this Saints team looks. We'll see what that record looks like in these next few weeks. But I think if the losses continue to come, I could see him being shipped out over these next few weeks, and it sucks, but to even think about. But I could definitely see it happening.
And if you can send him to a contender where he can go and get a ring or compete in the last 2 or 3, however long he has left, like let him go off in the sunset. Like I mean, I want us. This is a guy that I think deserves. If he wants to leave New Orleans, which I truly don't believe he does.
I don't think he does either,
but,
man.
I mean, if it happens to where he does go, send him to a place where he's going to compete. He's going to win football games, and he's going to be able to get that ring that he's deserved for so many years.
Yeah. Man, I can't even believe we're talking about this.
It's terrible, but it's like you see something, and it's kind of it opens your eyes a little bit.
Yeah,
because it's just it makes you really think like, dang, we in 2025. You know what I mean? Like we're in 2025 thinking about this right now.
The day of that, what was it? The 6 touchdown game that he had on Christmas. I remember I remember that day so vividly.
I'll never forget Sean Payton for that.
Won me my fantasy league.
Yeah, but he was one away from the record. We just didn't. We just said, you know what, you gonna sit down. But let's move on. Enough sad talk. Let's get back to the winning game that they did do on Sunday. So issues early in the game, obviously, was definitely worrisome. Going down 14-3, but then you see 23 straight unanswered points from this Saints team. So what changed in the middle of that second quarter? What kind of flipped that switch? For the Saints team.
Oh, it was that the 87-yarder to Rashid Shaheed that completely opened the game up. It's now 14-13 instead of 14-6. Your offense had pretty much been struggling, or not necessarily struggling, but there are a lot of instances where the Saints have success moving the ball down the field, and then they get into the red zone territory, goal line territory, and they just forget how to play football, I guess. So that game really opened it up, and then you get the ball back, you go down before half, you put up 3, and then I think from there it was just turnover after turnover, like just capitalizing on those mistakes. Shout out Kool-Aid finally showing up, which I knew he would eventually.
Yes.
But yeah, it was absolutely that Rashid Shaheed play, and I'm really mad at myself because I cut the game off before that because we couldn't get in the end zone. I was like, I can't keep watching this, and look what happened, man. That's why you keep watching.
And to start the game, I want to say on their first 3 or 4 drives of that game, their average starting field position was like the 14 or 15 yard line. It's not easy to drive down the field at any point of a game in the NFL, but they were backed up early. And credit to Spencer Rattler, they moved the ball. They punted the first drive, then they had field goal, touchdown. Mm-hmm. And I think once you saw that, everyone just looked like it was just a breath of fresh air, and it was like, oh, like that's something that an 87-yarder, that's something Saints fans haven't seen.
Yeah, and that's rare,
years.
man. I think it was the longest play since the Brandon Cooks 87-yarder in 2016.
And I mean, that's what, 9 years later.
9 years later.
So you just see that, and you get more confidence, and then they just took the momentum and they ran away with it. And
yes.
They had credit to the defense, because when Blake Grupe missed that kick, which the announcers jinxed him, but when they missed that kick, I sat there and I was like, oh no, here we go again, and then they go out, they get the stops, and you just kind of started to run away with it. And it was nice to see, because they haven't in 2 of their losses in weeks 1 and 2, they had the chance to win, and they just didn't make the plays they needed to make.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday they made the plays they needed to make.
Yes.
And you want to see that from your football team. You want to see that from this Saints team. And if they can just find a way to piece those plays together and build off of that, they could win more games than we think they can this season. But they still got some work to do.
We're gonna talk after I give my point on the unanswered points. This schedule, man, we're going to talk about that in a sec. It's very, very possible for the Saints team to win some games. But, I would kind of just say yes. Like the Rashid Shaheed touchdown, that blew everything up. That gives you all the confidence that you need. But then it's also like the Giants, honestly, shooting themselves in the foot a little bit with fumbles, back-to-back PI calls, holding calls.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and that's all you need. And you're in the dome, and the dome's rocking, by the way. The dome is rocking loud. And I think, honestly, like, I think you're 110% correct. As soon as that throw to Rashid Shaheed was made, there was just kind of a different feeling in the air. I feel like maybe around the dome, maybe around, on that sideline, and I think even just sitting on your couch watching on the TV, you kind of felt something a little bit. You kind of, you see the boys getting hype. You see an 0-3, an 0-4 team celebrating on the sidelines, doing their handshakes, jumping up and down, and that's what New Orleans Saints football is. You know what I mean? That's what you expect it to be. You expect them to gloat a little bit when things go their way, and it was kind of relieving to just see that. But yeah, I think the biggest thing was when there were mistakes made by the Giants, they made sure to capitalize. And I think that was something that we haven't really seen over the last few weeks, mistakes and capitalizing. You were able to turn Josh Allen over twice last week. And so I think, yes, it's the Bills, but you weren't really able to do anything with those turnovers. You weren't able to move the ball, but then you get you get 5 turnovers. Yes, you weren't really able to score that much offensively, but honestly, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. As long as you're making the right plays and your defense has you backed up, defense won them that football game. But I think the offense did what it needed to do to stay in contention to win the game, 100%. So, looking ahead at the schedule, all right, let me just kind of read it to you a little bit. You got the Patriots next week. Patriots coming off that big win last night. Then you go to the Bears. Then you go to Chicago and play the Bears. And here's where it's, Buccaneers come to the Saints. Then you go to the Rams. Then you go to Carolina, play the Panthers. Falcons come to town. You go to Miami. You go to Tampa Bay. Carolina comes here. New York Jets come here. You go to the Titans, and then you go to the Falcons. There's not many that difficult games on that schedule. All I'm going to say, you are playing the Jets, the Dolphins, the Titans, and then your NFC South teams, and it's like the NFC South doesn't look that good either. I think you can split with those NFC South teams, at least all of them, maybe beat one of them twice. I think that's very, very possible. This is a lot easier to look at than saying, okay, look, we got to go play the Bills again. We got to go play the Chiefs. We got to go, you know what I mean? Like we got to go play the Chargers. We got to go, we're not playing that many hard opponents.
Yeah.
You're playing against a Dolphins team who is in shambles. You're playing against the Titans team who, other than the win yesterday,
crazy.
It was crazy, is in shambles. The Bucks aren't like they're not in shambles, but they're not a phenomenal football team. Then you get, the Panthers are in shambles. Bryce Young is in shambles. It's just, I think there's a lot of winnable games left on this table for this Saints team. So can this team maybe shock some people, shock ourselves maybe, and win some ball games? And where do you kind of see this final record looking?
I think I had my prediction when you asked like a couple weeks. I think I said like 7-10.
Mm-hmm. And everybody looked at you like you were crazy.
Sure. Not crazy, just like, oh, he's really optimistic. But, I mean, there are games here where, like, I feel like if we win all of those gimme games, like you just said, it could go 7-10.
I know, that's why
But, like, the problem is, even with those teams, being in shambles, I'm not ready to say the Saints aren't in shambles yet. And I know it's never going to be that simple to just beat all the bad teams and then you'll be fine. Like, no, I mean, I could see us beating. Who do we have? We're definitely going to at least split one with Carolina.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're splitting one with Tampa.
I think you split it with Atlanta.
I think you're splitting with Tampa.
I think we split with Atlanta. Tampa's offense, man. Their offense is good, bro.
But the thing about New Orleans Saints football is they are always, 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 always ready to play against the Buccaneers. And you can look back the last 15 years. Have the Bucs swept us or swept the Saints in like the last, 10 years?
Did they sweep us last year?
I think they did.
Did they? I believe they did. I mean, we weren't good. They were there. It wasn't
not good now. But
100%.
but I just think I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm glad we got the win yesterday. I do think this team will win more football games because now they see that they've done it. A lot of times the hardest part is getting that first win because now you believe you can do it, and now you have sort of an expectation to do it. But with that being said, we're still a bad team who are going to be playing other bad teams, so there's no telling like what'll happen really.
I think, I agree with you, but I think there's a lot of similarities between this Saints team and this Bucs team too. And the reason I say that is because I just talked about how the Saints were just a play away or a drive away from winning those games. Mm-hmm. Well, those are the plays that the Bucs are making. And they have a better roster, don't get me wrong. They're a better football team than you. But if you can make those plays like Tampa Bay has, like Baker Mayfield has, then they're in this is a whole nother conversation we're having right now. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it starts next week. Look, I think New England's, they're coming off a big game. If you can keep that one close, I don't necessarily see them winning it, but I don't think they get blown out of the water.
Maybe catch them sleepwalking.
They could, yeah. Stephon Diggs might not be as motivated as he was last night. But then, Chicago, that's a win right there. You could take that game. You
could win that one.
You could go on the road and win that game. You get Tampa at home. They did sweep us last year. I just looked it up.
Okay.
But, L.A. on the road, they could. I mean,
Justin Herbert will give you a chance now.
Well, no, the Rams.
Oh, the Rams,
Chargers,
the Rams.
Yeah. So,
that's
but
different.
Stafford.
In terms of the division, I really could see them splitting those games and going 3-3 in the division. And if that happens, considering the state that your team is in, the offseason that you had, you take that. As a Saints fan, I take that. To me, that shows that Kellen Moore is, one, good enough to be our head coach, which I think he is, and I think he's in a very unfair situation right now.
I agree.
But to me, all Kellen Moore needs to do is go 3-3, split the division, which is going to be extremely hard. It's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But if you can do that, go 3-3. I don't care if you win all three on the road, you win all three at home. It doesn't matter. Just go 3-3, win that Jets game because they look terrible. I mean, they are just bad.
What else is new?
Win that Titans game because they're not good either.
And the Dolphins aren't any
And the
good.
Dolphins are not good either. So you really could see your. I mean, they could win 7 games when you really look at it.
When you look, and that's where I think the reason I said kind of looked at you crazy was because honestly I was pretty unaware of what was really left with this Saints schedule, and honestly I wasn't really expecting to see Spencer Rattler look the way he did yesterday. I think Sunday was the first time that Saints fans were really able to see kind of not really all he can do, but put it all together. You know what I mean? He was finally able to put some stuff together, put some really good throws together, put some drives together, and I don't know, man. I'm kind of with you. I think this is a 7-win ball club. Just with whatever else they have left, obviously a lot can change, and you got to stay healthy. And they can also easily lose 7 in a row for all I know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think the teams you're going up against are also in situations where fan bases aren't happy, teams aren't happy, locker rooms aren't as tight. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like Carolina is not in a good place. Like,
they're not bought in.
They're not. Nobody's really bought in that situation. Who knows really what's going on in Atlanta? And then you've got those out of conference games when you're playing against
Chicago.
New York. Like New York and Tennessee and Miami. So I genuinely think that this is a team that could maybe shock some people. Obviously, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I think there is a world where they can win some games here and become a 7-10 team. And then you ask yourself, okay, as a Saints fan, is that good? Are we going to get the 12th pick again, or what's the, you know what I mean? But those quarterbacks that we've been talking, college quarterbacks coming through, this is supposed to be one of the best quarterback drafts, but hasn't looked like that. And, we're going to talk about more college football in just a second, but that's kind of what I'm thinking about this Saints team. Look, it's good that they got a win because I was not willing to watch a winless Saints football team for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it was almost time to bring the paper bags back.
I was so close. I was so close.
And
man.
you know how they play? You know how they have like the easy schedule? Look at the ticket prices for the games they have, home and away. It's $32 is the lowest ticket for New England. $54.
Oh, we gotta go, man.
Yeah. $28 for Tampa
Sports
Bay.
crew trip to the Bucs game.
I just noticed that, and I'm like, that's crazy because it's the NFL. It's a high product.
Yeah,
ticket prices are.
I agree.
Up
That's
there.
my favorite part about being a fan of a bad team.
You can go to the games.
You can go to the games.
Hey, Pelicans fans, man.
Oh,
Pelicans fans know it.
I'll never
that
forget.
stuff's fun.
I got those tickets behind the basket for like $30.
Yeah, it's the best. Well, all right, let's move on. Let's move on to some college football. Shout out New Orleans for finally getting these boys over here a win. We deserved it. Moving on to college football, though, we got some in-state stuff as the number 11 team in the country, LSU, moved up 2 spots in the recent AP poll. 11 team in the country as they look to beat South Carolina in Death Valley on Saturday night. Big one, big SEC matchup. Obviously, a lot at stake for the rest of the season for this LSU football team. So, first things first, what are some things that South Carolina brings to the table that LSU fans should be aware of heading into this big-time SEC matchup?
A mobile quarterback. We still haven't figured it out. Blake Baker still hasn't come up with an answer. How do I stop a quarterback that can use his legs?
And use his arm.
Yeah. We still haven't figured it out, so that scares me. And he's probably not just a mobile quarterback, but he's probably the best mobile quarterback in the country. This is a team that's coming in super motivated. They feel like they were robbed last year of a win against us, which I won't get into that. Shouldn't have blown the game. But yeah, that's what scares me. I'm interested to see how this defense responds, though, because they didn't have their best performance against Ole Miss. I don't know how many yards they gave up, but they just really didn't have a very good day. Gave up a lot of third downs that they didn't need to. So we'll see how they respond to it. But yeah, Lenore Sellers has me on the edge of my seat for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they're very. This is a very athletic South Carolina team,
it is.
And you see the record. They're 3-2. But that Vandy game when Lenore Sellers went down, that was completely new ball game.
And that's exactly what happened last year when Sellers got hurt, and then LSU was able to take care of that ball.
Exactly. The one thing that maybe, well, I say maybe, but if you look at South Carolina, he had his best rushing performance in their last game against Kentucky at 87 yards. Before then, teams were containing him pretty well. I think. He had 25 in the season opener, and I think that was his highest rushing yardage.
He's only got 98 rushing yards this year.
I mean, he's not been. and he's been dealing with that injury, so you can say that, but he hasn't been as mobile as you would necessarily think. Now, if you're Shane Beamer and you're looking for a way of how do we attack this Bayou Bandits defense, it's by letting him run the ball. So Blake Baker needed to take this bye week and this weekend, call whoever he needed to call on how to figure out how to stop a mobile quarterback. I don't know, but they're going to have to slow him down because he is one of the better quarterbacks in the country, and for as good as he is with his legs, he can throw the ball too. Mm-hmm. And we saw this LSU offense sometimes they leave the defense out to dry sometimes, and if they have to play 80 snaps again, and you got to deal with that, they're in trouble.
Yes, look, very, very simple stuff. If this LSU defense is out on the field for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, it's going to be a problem. And look, this South Carolina offense, they bring a lot to the table. They got two running backs who can run all over you, and then not to mention, so they have the two running back system, and then they have Lenora Sellers who they can bring in that option package. Hey, they can get back in shotgun and do the option if they really want to, stuff that we can't. But it's also like a big thing about Lenora Sellers is he's pretty good with the football.
Yeah.
He doesn't turn the ball over much. He only has one interception so far this season. And so I think that's a big thing. I think the biggest key is to just understand who your opponent is. I think that this South Carolina offense can be very explosive, but it also can be shut down pretty quickly if you're able to lock down the key guys. I don't really think their receiving core is that special, and especially not against the DB room that LSU has shown is very, very impressive this season.
Yeah.
I think the biggest key, though, is just watching that run game. I think the fact that they have two running backs who that are comfortable with handing the ball off multiple times a game, multiple times a drive, and then also adding that dual threat quarterback that can hit you deep and hit you with the option package as well. I think that's scary. I think that's just something that this, like you said, the Bayou Bandits just need to be aware of come Saturday. So let's move a little bit towards the LSU side of the ball. Garrett Nussmeier took the week off a little bit. Allegedly.
Yeah.
He was according to Brian Kelly, was at practice throwing, not throwing the football, but throwing towels. That's what he said in his presser this afternoon. So that leaves me to the question. Van Buren was getting a lot of the first team snaps in practice supposedly. So are we going to see Garrett Nussmeier back on the field on Saturday, and which Nussmeier are you expecting to see?
You'll see him on the field Saturday. If he wasn't playing, I feel like we'd already know. And I'm not expecting him to be the Garrett Nussmeier of last year. I can tell you that. I'm expecting him to be more of the same of what we saw against Ole Miss. Not necessarily because he's not good or because he's hurt, but because we're playing yet again another quality opponent. And he's not afforded the luxury of just being mediocre pretty much.
Yep.
Like you could get away with that against Florida and LA Tech, but we're playing another SEC opponent. It's a night game in Death Valley. You can't keep relying on your defense to create turnover after turnover after turnover. Like eventually you have to give something to it. It can't just be a one-sided relationship. So I'm not expecting him to be Superman, but I don't know. At the very least, I just need him to take care of the ball, man. Just take care of the ball, and just make the easy throws. If you could just make the easy throws to your receivers that can get in space, you should be fine.
I completely agree with you there. And Kelly already said like they're not going to consider putting Van Buren in for these special packages they had. I mean, he said, I don't know his exact words, but something along the lines of like, we're not taking Garrett out of the game for that. So you'll see Garrett, he'll start. I mean, you hope that from a coaching standpoint, now that they like everyone knows his limitations, so help him out a little bit. Stop running these these sets where you got three receivers and they're all 30 yards down the field.
Yeah.
Like, help him out a little bit. So that way he doesn't have to hit these checkdowns on second down to get, 2 yards and that's all you're getting because you still can't run the ball. So, to me, we'll see whatever Garrett Nussmeier you'll see probably the same Garrett Nussmeier against Ole Miss, but you'll see whatever Garrett Nussmeier, the coaches, push out.
Yeah.
If it's the Nuss where they want him to be the guy that can, hit that 50-yard throw, then, man,
he's going to look really bad.
It's going to look bad.
Yeah.
But if it's a guy where, they play to his current strengths, then he could be better.
And I agree. I think that they need to know exactly where he is. They need to know, okay, look, I need to throw, I need to add in a couple checkdowns here. I need to get some short 5-yard throws to my tight end. I need to get Aaron Anderson. Hopefully he can play. He's listed as questionable. But then even without Aaron Anderson, then you got Xavion, you got Nick Anderson, you've got your guys, you've got Barryon Brown, who you can throw maybe over like a short 10-yard throw, maybe a slant, an out route, a curl, like whatever you got. I think you're going to have to really see those quick throws. I think that ball's going to have to be out of his hand within 2 to 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. I think that's very, very important, especially but also you can't be one-dimensional. I think if you're going to do that, you also have to allow him to I think we're going to see that deep ball to Chris Hilton again. I really do. I think we're going to see him try it. Who knows if it's going to be short or if it's, it's going to be on the money like we saw last year, because that's one of the things like that I've always said is I've never really been a huge Garrett Nussmeier guy. Last year, at least I wasn't. But one thing that he was always able to do, and he was good at no matter what, and it was throwing that deep ball on the money, and where nobody else could get it.
If he couldn't do anything else,
if he couldn't do anything else in the world, you bet he could do that. And that's where it's like, we saw in that Ole Miss game where it's just like he throws that ball, and as soon as it went short, I kind of just like I was at the game and I just looked at my brother and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what you can do, because if your guy can't do what he's
good at,
gonna be making millions of dollars for doing that, how are you supposed to win the football game?
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing is obviously making those short throws for Garrett. But that run game has to be there, man. That run game has to be there. And that leads me to my next point, because that's what LSU needs to do well in order to win the football game on Saturday. So what do you guys think? What does LSU need to do well on Saturday in order to come out with the must-needed W?
Absolutely, you got to run the ball. I just want to say, I know we talked about it a lot, but that rushing performance against Ole Miss, it was pathetic. It was embarrassing. It was laughable, and every running back that suited up that day, should look at themselves a little bit differently. Wow, we should have been way better. I get it. You don't have a great rushing attack. You're probably not getting a great push up front, man. But come on, man. We got to be better. You get recruited to play football in the SEC for a reason. You got to be some type of playmaker. Let's make some plays, man. You have to run the ball better. The run blocking has to be better.
Yep.
The pass blocking has to be better. For one, we can't be getting killed on 3-man rushes. Let's start there.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett has to have time to throw. He's already not healthy. So, look, there's a lot you could point to, but like you said, it's simple. But apparently it ain't easy.
It ain't easy.
Yeah.
It's clear that it's not easy.
And I think the other thing too is, it goes along with what you said. They have to win the time. They have to win the possession battle. They have to win the time of possession.
Have to.
You want to score, but if you're only going to score 24 points a game, that's fine. Hold the ball for 35, 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Give your defense a rest. And when you get in those third downs, convert them, because otherwise you're just in the same spot you were 2 weeks ago when you played Ole Miss. And let me tell you, if that's the LSU we see for the rest of this season, they are in trouble.
Yep.
Like, they are in a lot of trouble. And so, you kind of hope that coming out of the bye, it's almost like it's never going to be a new team, but you hope that there's some sign of life and sign of improvement and sign of changes. And if there's not, well, then Sunday we'll have an interesting discussion.
Yeah,
but,
we will.
Yeah.
Look, and I kind of already said my point. You got to run the football, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get under center. Most importantly, you got to get under center. You got to hand that ball off. Don't make it so easy for the South Carolina defense to read what you're doing and kind of shut you down. Don't be one-dimensional. I just think the offense needs to move the ball. I think the defense is going to do its job. I expect to see another turnover, honestly. Like, the defense is going to do its thing. Look, you're 10-point favorites at home. You should win the game. I just think it's going to come down to how this offense looks a little bit. And I think for LSU fans everywhere, you want to win this game with some convincing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You want to win this game by 2 or 3 scores. You don't want it to even be in close. You kind of want it to be a little bit more towards the Florida level, but with a little bit more convincing. And honestly, look, with lots of team losing, it's clear that this isn't a normal college football season. It's also clear that literally anything can happen. UCLA,
anything.
UCLA.
How about
State.
Drew Aller, Poggi?
Don't even get me started, bro. Drew Aller is so bad. I've been saying it from the get-go. If you weren't listening to me before, please listen to me now. He's not a good quarterback. And then, obviously, Texas dropping to Florida.
Yeah.
That was huge. And then, I think LSU is 100%, 110% in this. I think you got to win the games that you're supposed to win on the road. But, look, they've been in this, just, some things need to change a little bit offensively, like we've been saying. So this is a game that the offense needs to click, and they need to win with some convincing. But, who wins this football game, man? Who's going to get it done on Saturday night?
I'm going to take my Tigers, man. It's homecoming. It has nothing to do with nothing, but no, I'm going to go with LSU. I still think this is a better team than South Carolina. South Carolina's not as good of a team as Ole Miss is, and I'm gonna say LSU 23-6.
I'm gonna take LSU too, and one of the main reasons is I don't think we're gonna see a drastic offensive improvement, but one thing that I think LSU will dominate on the defensive side of the ball is the line of scrimmage.
Yes,
Lenore Sellers has been sacked a lot this year. South Carolina's offensive line is not that good. Mm-hmm. LSU's pass rush, very good. So they'll take advantage of that. I think they'll be able to get off the field on those third downs, get the ball back to their offense, who hopefully can, hold the ball for more than 3 plays. But
we're not even asking you to score.
Just hold it for like 12 plays.
I just think look, man, you got to move that ball. If you're able to move the ball, like I said, your defense is going to do what they need to do. Mm-hmm. I still think it's one of the best defenses in the country. Mm-hmm. I think you mentioned they didn't have a great game last week, but it's kind of hard to beat.
Yeah, and it wasn't even they didn't have a great game. It's for what we got used to seeing.
Like
at that
3rd and
point.
9, there's certain plays in that game last week that need to be made.
Yeah.
And I think you're gonna have a Death Valley crowd behind you that's gonna be rocking. It is homecoming, but I do think I don't know.
Sold out too, by the way.
Sold out already.
Yeah.
I just think that this team has a little bit of a chip on their shoulder now, and it's people like us, media, who are bashing this team a little bit, kind of asking what's going wrong, and I think this game is going to mean something a little bit more to them a little bit. I think they've been talked. They lose one game after being 4-0 for the first time since 2019, and everybody, it's like the world stopped a little bit. And so I think this is a really big moment for them on Saturday. And I think they get it done. I think they get it done with a lot of convincing. I think they win this game 35-10.
Wow.
I think really, if the offense is able to move, if the offense is able to move, this defense is not.
Poggi, if we put up 35 points on Saturday night, I can't tell you how happy I will be, man.
You could shake my hand right now. I think it's gonna happen, man. I hopefully I'm not jinxing it, and this isn't like a Boston Red Sox thing, but I'm thinking that it can happen. And I think this team is a lot better than a lot of people are starting to think, just off of a couple moments, a couple, things going on. Look, man, this is a football team that I still think that we can be playing, playoff football come to it, whether that's, a home game here, a road game, or whatever it is. I think we can see it. And so, that's what I got, man. But that's going to do it, man. That's going to do it for us here today in the John Frisha podcast studio. Once again, 5th semester. Big thanks to Will and Jay, as always, being great co-hosts with me today. And then Randallin on the switcher doing her thing. Alex Sheasley doing his thing as production. Man, I appreciate y'all. Appreciate all y'all for tuning in. It's been a fun ride so far. Let's keep it going.
Let's go.
So, thank you guys for tuning all in. We will see you next week. I'm Michael Poggi, and this has been the Hodges Huddle.